What's up, y'all? This is episode 6 of the Rad Gamer Dad podcast, and today we are going to talk about NFTs.
Not again.
Oh,
No,
gross.
JK. We're going to talk about indie games.
Woo!
What constitutes an indie game? What indie games do you like? Which indie games do you not like? Kind of all about it. That's just going to be the general discussion. So what does constitute an indie game?
So
Yeah.
I actually did a little research, and when I say research, I Googled it and looked at the first answer.
That's
Yeah.
more
But
than most
yeah,
people do.
that's true.
To be honest.
But it looks like indie stands for independent, which I didn't know that actually. It also looks like that an indie is defined by a group of devs that are or developers that are not funded by a publishing company or any sort of corporation. So they're either doing it through uh, Kickstarter or crowdfunding, but they have to raise the money on their own.
That's a great point, man. Because what I was gonna bring up today was
Mhm.
I feel like indie studios are going the same way as beer companies, right? For a long time, it was like, well, you have the big three, and then you have these other ones like Sam Adams, like a truly independent, not funded by one of these companies, like an independent brewer.
Craft brew.
And then you would have
Yeah.
craft brewers. But what started to happen would be that these craft brews were getting bought up by Anheuser and then still trying to maintain their like indie roots. And I feel like that might be happening to some developers now too.
Mhm.
I'm not mad about people gaining success for making great games, but I feel like we might be crossing the line or blurring the line of that clarity where it's like, you know, Kana, a game I love, technically an indie title, they got bought up by Sony.
Mhm.
So they have a lot more backing and a lot more resources and
Right.
a lot more access to tools. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I just feel like it's hard to compare them to somebody like the team that did Titan Souls,
Mhm.
right? Where it's
Right.
like that's literally like two guys,
Mhm.
Or Undertale, Toby Fox, it was just one person, one man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I always would tell people about Child of Light. I don't know if you're familiar with that game, but that's an amazing. I thought it was an indie game, so I would tell people that. But since it's owned by Ubisoft, they funded or supported that. Does it really make it an indie game, or is it just a smaller scaled game? So I guess it just really depends on your definition of it. But
Well, and two things we know are clear that the project has to be a certain amount of money. I feel
yeah,
like, I mean, even if you kickstart like what was it? Star Citizen has like brought in like what 40 million. It's something stupid.
10 million.
Yeah, 10
For real, I
Yeah.
just looked.
For
Or
real?
100 million.
Oh, oh my god, that's even worse than what I said.
Yeah, it's something
40.
crazy.
So yeah, we'll just say 100 million. Okay, just correct us in the comments. But a ridiculous amount of money, and they have a lot of people. I believe they have a lot of people behind it. So I mean, they raised that money, but yet it's still pretty huge. I'm talking about like how much it actually costs to make, as well as how many people are actually in the studio. Those are the two clear things that I feel make it. But he looked up the actual definition, so like that's what we're
like the
gonna go
extra
off.
step.
That's what we're
Okay.
gonna go off of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say like if Elon Musk decides to become a single person game publisher, like does he still count as indie?
No.
No, too much money.
No, too much money.
Is it
Yeah,
Mars
yeah,
Simulator?
too much
It
money.
depends.
It's a
He's
Mars-
basically
Mars Simulator
four of
2022.
Activision. Well, I mean, they're not
It
doing so great
depends.
right now,
Is he
but
Yeah.
sponsored by himself?
Oh,
If
Yeah.
he's sponsored by his own companies, then yeah, then no.
it's
But
a
if he's
Tesla
not-
race game.
Him and Mark Zuckerberg are gonna team up and make Meta Mars, and that's how we're gonna get there.
oh my god.
Wait,
Fun.
Ethan, what's an indie to you?
Uh, I just feel like it's a small game that nobody's really heard of much. I feel like is mostly, but yeah, of course he looked at the actual definition, but like most of the time it's just like some little small game that's like usually not as high of like production quality. Although a lot of times they will actually, I feel like, or not a lot of times because there are a lot of bad ones, but sometimes they can have like better concepts though, or like mechanics. But like
sure.
the actual like production quality, I guess, is always a bit less.
They're wildly creative, is what they are,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
they're allowed to be, and that's what makes them so unique. I don't want to say so much better, but so unique, and a lot of the times better because they're not beholden to any, oh, we have to make this sort of money
Right.
or
Fit into
this
an
sort of
IP.
thing. These are all passion projects for the
Yeah.
most part. Um, and that's kind of I don't know if that's documented that way in the actual definition, but like I feel like that's where most of them are
Yeah,
at.
it is. I
Well,
checked.
Okay, fact checker. We got him fact
yeah.
checked. Yeah, that's good.
Well, and that's what I think of as like, definitions be damned. Like this is a
Right.
podcast, not a dictionary. We're not gonna
We don't
get,
like books.
we're not gonna get numbers right. We're not gonna read things, and we're just gonna make up our own rules to what things are. But it, like all of those things together, like, does it have to be a shorter or less produced thing? Does it, have to be a certain amount of money or a certain team size? Like, if there's 40 people working on a game and nobody's getting paid, like, are they still an indie team or
For your first game, essentially.
for real?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
point too.
And it's like, I think that there's probably some gray area and some wiggle room, but it is hard to call something indie when Ubisoft comes in and finances
Right.
the game itself.
Mhm.
And I also want to know, I know this question wasn't one that we were planning on covering, but what's the benefit of having indie games?
They push the boundary
That
of
creativity.
of what we expect from games. I have
Mhm.
played mechanics in indies that I've never seen in like 26 years of gaming. It's awesome.
They can tell stories, like,
Yeah.
and they're not restricted to what they tell the story about.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is huge because once again, these bigger companies, those shareholders, you mentioned something that it's they don't like. Well, no, we're going to discourage that idea. There are no ideas that are discouraged. It's just kind of you get whatever whatever you make.
Because what was that game, Ethan? You had mentioned it before that we were gonna do on a live stream. Was it like Dream Daddy?
Oh yeah.
Like, I have no desire to play that game, but I do have, like, because I don't find like a dating sim thing to be that fun, unless hopefully it's like super funny. But like the idea that they made that game and how much people love it
right.
to push things forward, like, it makes me want to play it from that end of just being like, I want to know what this game is about, because it should change like target audiences of who games are being made for and really like represent people better.
If they do a second one, I want there to be voice acting.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want that because you had to
Oh,
read
I'll make a great
everything.
voice
You had to
actor.
in Dream Daddy, you had to read everything, and we tried to do that for one of our streams,
was you and
for
Rob.
one of our charity streams, streams.
Did you take characters?
What's that?
Did you guys take characters and read them exclusively?
To each
'Cause
other?
I
we
did
do it
for
like
I
a
did for
playwright.
a little bit. I
All
did
right.
for a little bit, and then it got to the point where just like I started getting really tired because that's all we were doing was reading. And Rob's like, "This is." Emmy says this is lame. Yeah, because she was watching at well, I guess 2 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, it is.
I could
I
make
don't
a
know.
great voice actor for that.
See?
Oh God, too young.
Too
I don't know what
young.
you're
Too
talking
young.
about.
His game name is Jailbait? What?
Dude, where are the mods?
Right.
Where are the
serious.
mods? So, as far as indie games go, which ones are your favorite, Ethan? Small games. You would take your definition of what an indie game is and say which one you think is your favorite or which ones you play that you really like.
Actually, one of the games that you played the most is a very popular indie game. It started as indie. You may not think of it.
Which one is indie?
The one you like the most. What's
Oh,
your
Minecraft? Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say.
Okay, yeah, Minecraft
Yeah.
was an indie. Now it's not anymore. That one's kind of fun. I'm already kind of tired of that now. Now, you see, I'm very just like sporadic when I choose games. So I could have like loved an indie game, but I don't really remember that if it was more than like 3 months ago because I just jump onto the next thingy. So
Do indie games give you better access to do that? Because a lot of times they are like, what does Stardew Valley cost? Like, in most platforms, high dollar, what, $12?
$12,
So-
yeah.
Very
It's
accessible.
a very good game for $12.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a lot of the time I'll just make sure I'll probably like play the game a bit. I think getting a PC has made me play more indie games because I think a lot of the games that I play on there are indie games. So they're just
Steam.
like, yeah,
I mean,
on Steam.
there's so
And
so many
I
of
just
them.
play a ton of like little random ones, but I don't like not many games have really stuck with me a lot. I don't think I've ever had an indie game that's really like stuck with me much other than Minecraft, but I don't think it's an indie game anymore. It was, but not anymore. Um,
But
but
do you think Microsoft would have produced that game without seeing how crazy successful it
Right.
was afterwards? Like, you wanted us to use these ugly blocks? Nah, hard pass, you know.
yeah, but I mean, it's like it's changed a lot
Uh-huh.
since then.
Because it's an investment,
Yeah, but
and your
still,
investments need to
Mhm.
mature, and you need
yeah.
to get out of what you paid for it. They paid a ridiculous amount of money for that. Not as ridiculous as, and we can say it, but what was it? Activision Blizzard
Oh yeah,
buyout.
being purchased.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that
I don't
just
even
happened.
remember what they got purchased for.
68.7 million, I
Yeah,
believe.
it was
Billion.
billion. Yeah, it was just.
Billion.
Billion.
I know.
Ooh,
I was
is that
shocked at
because
that.
that Roblox evaluation? Is that when they like for it's $38 billion for Roblox, so now everything else is just based in relative 60
Yeah,
with a B.
Microsoft bought that, and get this, they the one for Bethesda that was like almost 8 billion or something like that.
I know. I thought that was a big number. And
Right, yeah, and then they just jumped up, boom. But yeah, that'll see that'll pan out. That's an investment,
Yeah,
even
but
though their stock is real low.
Yeah.
But
what happened there, and then I don't feel like that was the smartest idea, especially for that much money. But they're a company, but like also, well, that just kind of happened not that long ago. So
it's
maybe
it,
don't
it
do
it's also
that.
true, but they also have tremendous IPs and developers that aren't being complete shitbags.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, isn't or some
We
like
should probably get back to indies though, because
Andy. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
What are some of your favorite indies?
Yeah.
Do you play indies much?
Wait, it's one of your rare misses, Phil. You dime.
Boom. Yep.
Mhm.
But anyways, my favorite indies, I don't really play a whole lot of indies, and I'll normally buy them because I'm like, dude, this game sounds so cool, and then never play it. And then there are a few games that I will go buy, and I'll actually play them for a little bit, but a lot of the times I do get them for our streams that we do when we do the charity streams, especially like multiplayer ones. Dead Cells is so fun.
Yeah.
Dead Cells is
Is
amazing.
it really?
And
Why?
it's not, and what's cool about it is like you're not, because it's not like a multiplayer game, but it's one of those games like you can take turns after like every death or every run essentially
Okay.
to see if you can
Sweet.
get farther, and like it has a sense of progression too, um that once again part due to their creativity and the systems that they have, where the upgrades that you get they feel powerful. They feel
Hmm.
really powerful, and that will allow you to go farther. Like I'm not very good at games, but I was able to get past like one or two of the bosses or something like that, which might not be shit to anyone
Ethan.
else.
Ethan actually played a lot of it.
Yeah, when you said that, my eyes lit up.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, Dead Cells was an indie game? I love
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude,
It
and the
blurs the
art
line.
and the art style too. The art style, so very much very pixel art style,
Mhm.
but it's very stylized. I
It's
mean,
beautiful.
it's a good game with good systems. That's entertaining,
Mhm.
Um, Swords of Ditto.
I
Oh
don't
yeah.
even know what
Oh,
that is.
that's a
It's like a
multiplayer.
Zelda-like game. It's really cool.
Yeah, and the mechanics in that are like there's a little bit of time travel type deal, but you have to beat the boss or whatever in a certain time frame. Otherwise, he, I don't know, kills the land or something. Of course, I should probably be reading a little bit more about it,
Typical
but yeah,
stuff.
whatever. You get to hit things with things, and it's fun. It feels good. It's lighthearted. I mean, really, with the whole like end of the world coming and everything like that with the game, but
It's
Keeping
So
it cheery.
happy.
yeah.
but like because you actually your weapons are considered toys or whatever, and then like you can they've got like modifiers or different abilities that you can modify with like stamps or
Mhm.
whatever.
Okay.
It's kind of
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So it's a feel good that way. Um, yeah, those are probably two of the bigger ones. Broforce,
Yeah, had so much
Broforce.
fun with
That
that in
is
the streams.
I killed the final boss.
yeah, we did. We killed the final
We
boss.
did
Yeah,
it.
you can
I
watch that
laid
in
the
our last
final hit.
stream. That was we said we had to do that.
Mhm.
But And I thought, was Knockout City an indie?
It's made by
EA,
EA.
yep,
Oh,
so
never mind. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Evil Arts.
Evil Arts, no.
Nobody calls them that but me.
Yeah.
It's my own personal thing.
But no, Knockout City was cool. It wasn't an indie, so I mean, maybe it's not that cool. I don't know.
But it was like it's like a Valent Games that is like the game studio that indie or that EA probably purchased to
Mhm.
make the game. And so it's
Right.
like that's where that blurry line is that I'm always like, dang, I want that game is so much fun. And a lot of the indie games that got some money tossed at them
hmm
are able to actually produce the thing that they had the talent to, and now
Mhm.
they have the resources to. And so it's like, ah, that game's so good. I still want it to be an indie title.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
And I think the
But
last one before we move on is Oregon Trail. Oregon Trail.
organs as in body parts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Not like as in like the floppy disk Oregon
Oh.
Trail. Yeah. I mean,
Uh.
I don't even think that was. I mean, I think they were all indies back then.
do you think about the number of industries that Oregon Trail could go into? I mean, it could be a music store. It
Hmm.
could probably be a porn shop.
I mean, yeah, some sort of
Yes.
trail. Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it could be like a what's where they stuff animals, taxidermy.
Build a bear.
A Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
just
mean-
thinking the name's got flexibility. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah, we should start a taxidermy, build a bear taxidermy. We'll
Right.
just shove fluff. Just so here's our fluff machine. Just stick it
Random
right in their
animal
ass.
parts and just put them together.
Like if I'm a
Here's
child
your
watching
doll.
this, I'm like, oh, this is not how the magic happens. But no, Oregon Trail is in like zombies and stuff like that, and it's super cool because it's super like limited art style, kind of like the original Oregon
8-bit
Trail
graphics,
was.
yeah.
But like you're trying to avoid hordes, you don't go into the radioactive zone, and like the times I played it, I never freaking made it over. I died every single time, due
I
to
think
some
it's challenging. Yeah.
to some decision or whatever happened. But that was cool because that was something I've always wanted to you know do this with another group of people,
Mhm.
and that was fun. I got that experience out of it. I think a lot of indie games are just like little bits and touches of just like inspiration, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, this was super cool, and even if I just played this game for this long just for this, like Journey is another one.
That was a cool one.
That thing got
Was-
mad praise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
I don't know who made that.
I was gonna say, I don't remember.
It was I don't know. Someone in the comments here.
Guy
yeah,
with the
resident
laptop.
research guy.
Yeah. Look that up. Fact check this.
Yeah.
Well, but anyways, I remember where I was at when I beat that game. I remember what time. It was 2 in the morning. I don't know if I had a tear going down my eye from exhaustion or like if it was actually that beautiful, but I think it was that beautiful. Yeah.
It's a pretty gorgeous.
It's
game.
like that game company were the developers.
Oh,
Santa
That
Monica
game
Studio?
Company.
It's a good name.
Oh yeah. I should have said something. And
Yeah.
probably. Oh, he was close to that game company.
What were you gonna toss in before? You
Oh, yeah.
you like tried to pause this. What up?
So you said that like I wish it was an indie game. Why do you wish it was an indie game?
Because I want to see because there's so many good developers that are literally like blurring the lines between indie game and AAA. Like Journey is a game like that it was kind of like it showed up and it was like, yeah, this is a really unique concept, but perfectly executed. And
Mhm.
so I want that to continue to exist, and I want those developers to be able to just get the resources to be able to get to build the thing that they want without having Microsoft or Sony or a PC overlord saying like, yeah, well, it was a fine game, but you actually had to hit this number or we're not going to release it, and all those people's work is just gone.
Right.
So
You don't put chocobos in it, we're not making it.
yeah. So I want it to exist. I don't know. I want the big game companies to be good to the little game companies too, I
Agreed.
guess. I
I
don't
want
know.
that creativity to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Indie
and
games
just like
redefine
just
stuff.
thrive because people got ideas, man.
They do.
Yep.
They need to get them out.
And now they have that outlet and those tools available to do it, and we're seeing more and more of it. I think indies will continue to redefine how we play games.
Because there are, like you said when you said Dead Cells and you were like, gorgeous art, cool mechanics, this feeling of progression, and I historically do not play indie games.
Mhm.
I don't really touch any of them.
Mhm.
And a big part of it was like, there's so many awesome, huge AAA games. Like, I'm never going to get to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But now they're so good that I picked up uh, Hades. And I said in one of
Man.
the earlier
Yep.
podcasts, like, I was going to
Oh,
play it. And it was
yeah.
like,
That
this
is good.
roguelite game, like, you could have told me that it was made by PlayStation Santa Monica, and I'd been like, yeah, it's that good. Like, the sound, the story's hilarious, the voice
man.
acting is great, the characters are perfect. You know, like,
It is good.
that game is just so good that it has encouraged me, along with
Mhm.
Luke, because he loves indie games so much, to be like, no, you should actually dive in to some of these. And like, just because they're not these massive epics with huge stories and crazy 3D modeling, it doesn't mean they're not worth playing. They actually will challenge you in totally different ways than what other stuff will. And I've basically turned my Switch system into my indie system,
That's solid.
right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, if I want to play the big AAA stuff, I get it on Sony, but indies are way better for portable travel.
They're
Because it's
made for handheld.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not like when I'm playing an Uncharted game, I've got a big screen TV and surround sound, and I want that thing to feel like a Hollywood movie.
Mhm.
But when I pick up Hades, it's fun to play on my TV, and it's also fun to just like take it into my room and play for like 45 minutes before I go to sleep, and then I just set it on the nightstand. You know,
So you're playing Hades. Is there any other games that you're playing or would recommend or like really like as far as
I
indies go?
I picked up a couple ones. I picked up the Ori games, Ori and the Wisps and Bridge of Spirits, which are, were Microsoft exclusives, but they got ported over to the Switch.
Mhm.
And I booted up Ori because they had a demo because I wasn't fully sold. It's a Metroidvania.
Not indie by definition.
Is it owned by Microsoft Studios?
Was it developed
Yes.
or
Yeah.
funded by them? Okay.
But it's okay, I'll allow it.
All right. But I picked that game up, and it's like, man, the people that put this game together, like some reviewer said, it feels like you're playing a painting and that somebody wrote music to that painting.
Wow.
And that is a
Awesome.
spot on definition.
Oh man, that's so
It's
good.
so fun. And the character you play as is like a little light sprite fox thing,
Yeah.
and he's adorable.
Super swift, yeah.
Yeah. And so that I picked up Sea of Solitude, which looks like it's fun and could be kind of a creepy story, and Oxenfree, which will give me an opportunity to turn it over to Luke because that game looks really awesome, super simple but very story driven, and it was like $2, and I was like, Luke, I heard this game's awesome. I think you'd really like it. You should pick it up.
Right. Yeah.
And-
And that's what you did. And I had the chance to play it over Christmas break, and it was amazing. It took about 5 hours, but you just get drawn into these characters on the
That's a
island
good-
that they're
good
on. It's
chunk of
very
time.
paranormal events occurring. I won't say anything to ruin it for anyone, but it's a great game. If you love story, if you love almost, I won't say like a TV show, but you're kind of a witness to it, a spectator. It's really interesting. You really get attached to the characters really fast. The voice actors were astounding in that. I was so impressed.
Did you do your like gaming dollar per hour thing
I-
on that? Because
I
like
didn't because it was
$2 for 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That's good value.
It's way
Yeah.
better than the arcade money, you know.
Oh my
I agree.
God.
Yeah, anything like that, I was like, oh, it's like $2.99. Like I'm going to make my money back on this, or by the value of time will definitely be worth it.
What else have you been playing? I feel like I should just like kick my shoes up and just be like, let Luke
Well,
preach now.
let's go. No.
Mhm.
Well, I finished Blasphemous in November, and that was a Dark Souls Spanish Inquisition inspired video game, Metroidvania. It's ridiculous. The bosses are unlike. It's like Castlevania 100 times weirder. Like it's very good. It's worth watching, I would say, because it really stands out as a Metroidvania. What was it? I had played Cyberpunk earlier last year, and that was like a city building survival game.
I thought you were gonna say 2077.
And that was a really great game.
Indie group CD project.
Right.
They're gonna be reduced to that if they can't make their games better.
Yeah.
I generally gravitate towards indie games. That's just my jam. They provide such a wealth of experience, I think, and they're very accessible. It's not like a triple title game where you have to do character creation and get through tutorials and spend hours to learn about the world. A lot of times, these developers give you that world, or they don't. They allow you to imagine and seek out that world. Um, so I guess it just really goes which developer is making which game, but
So if you had to dive into indie gaming first time, somebody's never done it before, what are like the top 2 or 3 titles that you're like, you should start here? I don't have the breadth of experience, but I would say like Hades won like a million Game of the Year award for a reason. Like just definitely start with Hades. That's a dope game.
yeah, I think any rogue light or rogue-like game would be good. Like Dead Cells is an awesome example. If it's someone who's like my age and well, I guess it really wouldn't matter because if they've never played a game for the most part, if they're more inexperienced, maybe like Hollow Knight might be a good start to see where they're at. I know that can be very challenging, but there's a game where you just start playing, you jump with A and you attack with B. Like it's very simplistic. It gets more complicated, more challenging as you progress.
It's stupid hard.
Yeah, that was really hard for me.
It
I don't.
was-
You shouldn't That's not for.
Why
new
would why
people.
yeah why would you
That's
give that to a
really-
new person?
And that's the
Like, I
interest-
fucking hate being this stressed out.
Okay,
You're gonna make them
okay.
hate
I got
video
a
games.
better one. I got a better one for you guys. I have a few.
I thought you were
wrote
gonna
up.
say Slime Rancher.
Yeah, Slime Rancher. would
Is
be
that
great.
indie? Yeah, that's
No.
indie.
No.
Oh no,
It's
because I
not.
think it's EA.
Oh,
Well,
no.
I think no.
I don't know. No.
Fact check that, please.
I like that you guys went from Hollow Knight where it was like, you just start with A as jump, and then it rips out your soul.
It does.
It's like,
No, it's so
whoa.
hard.
It's like, the
Slime
point
Rancher.
of escalation is like
Bro, no,
straight up
legit,
from
legit.
there.
No,
It
no.
goes like-
This is Luke's list, though. Luke should give the
Let me
list.
have my list. No.
This should be Luke's top 2 to
let's
3.
see.
This
Yeah.
should be his list.
What's yours? Where would you start them? I feel like you've played some indie games and you
Alright.
just don't.
Starting,
Didn't think about it.
definitely, probably, Dead Cells. It's not too hard, and it kind of gets basic thingies, and it has like the A, B, left, right, whatever thingy type stuff. That's pretty easy. Another game that might be good to start out with would maybe be well, again, Minecraft isn't like indie, but I feel like that's kind of that's like one of the first games that I started out like kind of getting into stuff with, because like there's different difficulties.
You like Terraria?
Terraria is indie
Ooh.
game? No,
Yeah.
Terraria isn't. It's,
Yeah, I
it's
think
owned by
it-
505
I don't know.
Studios. No, it's owned by 505
Okay.
Games.
So that can be
See,
pretty
it's
challenging,
getting
though. This got
tricky.
some curve to that. But Slime Rancher is probably one of the best. Like, it would just depend on the person and what they like. But I feel like anyone would really like Slime Rancher. Like,
Yeah.
I adored that game. I
It's fun.
Slime Rancher
platinumed
was
out
great.
on the trophies. I put like 40, 50 hours into it because ranching is fun. Ranching slimes is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cute.
Slime Rancher is so
Yeah.
good. Oh yeah, and well, about Q.
Mhm.
That just reminded me of something. You said like with one of the reasons that you like indie games is like you don't have to spend time on character customization. I love character customization. Like with when I was playing Animal Crossing, I made my character look so cute.
Oh,
Like I love doing that. I
and
love
it-
spending time and making like the characters look cute and stuff.
No.
Like that's like a lot of the fun of it.
That's true. That's
Like
a good point.
I get a lot of fun from games, literally like making my characters
Mhm.
be like, I have a really cool looking character and I'm proud of that.
Because it's weird. Like Nintendo does a lot of that stuff where it's like, it's almost indie because they're just like weird concepts, and it's just like, what's the point of that game? Like, oh, it's super fun. It's just like I was thinking of Pikmin. Like it's not a terribly easy game, but it's like a fun little weird puzzle game, and they have like no problem with just like, yeah, we're gonna put that out there and see
Mhm.
how it does. Or
I
like
never knew what to do.
Yeah, like
in that game.
Animal Crossing, like what's the point? Like, not really. Whatever you want it to be. You can
Another-
craft some stuff. You can hang out. You can just decorate your little island and space your tents out just so that it's adorable. Like,
Yeah,
It's
you
a
have to make it
micromanagement
perfect.
game.
You have to make it perfectly spaced apart, like I did. But also, that reminded me of something. Donut County would also be a nice one to
Oh,
start
yeah,
out
that was a
Yep,
cool
yep.
one.
with.
too.
What-
It's
what is
like
that?
it's just a nice little puzzle solving game. It's
It's like
pretty simplistic.
You control this donut, or is it
it's
a donut?
it's a hole.
It's just a hole, yeah,
It's a
and
hole
like
in
you
the
move it
ground.
around on the levels, and you collect things inside of it, and as you collect things, the hole grows bigger, so you can collect more things. So
It's like a inverse like Katamari Damacy.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's doing the opposite. It's
Yeah.
breaking things down.
It's pretty cool. But and did you give your list, your 2 to 3?
I got one more.
You got one more? Okay.
It's just a
do-
couple things. I have my first dissertation. So we're gonna start on hour one about Outer Wilds. So
Alright, we'll go take a break while you talk
okay,
about
so
it.
we got a couple days, but that is an amazing space exploration
is
game.
that indie?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How many people are on that team?
I think it looked like about 10 because I had watched that documentary, No Clip, and I'd say it was probably 10, 12 people.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It
Yeah.
looks like it was really born. The ideas, a lot of the ideas and concepts of the game were kind of created by the main developer there. I can't think of his name, but he had made these different mechanics in his class and through gaming college or whatever it would be, technology. And
And this was his manuscript.
yes, and that's I took it from his house. It was, but I'll bring it back to him later.
You can't just steal things.
Oh,
We're
if
gonna
I
have to
return
cut
them,
this.
it's just borrowing.
We're gonna
It's
have
fine.
to cut this.
What was it about that game that hooked you? Because I know like that is one that you brought up almost as much as Andy brings up Final Fantasy 14, which is free up to what level?
Well,
Levels.
actually, they're resuming their services, and you can actually buy the game again and start a free trial account on January 25th.
Shoehorned it in, shoved it right in your black hole.
Nice. Speaking of black holes,
It's
there is
donut
a
hole
black
joke.
hole.
Come on now.
But I would think the ability to just explore that entire solar system. So you essentially start out as a character on the planet that's going to become an astronaut, and you're taking your first joyride in the spaceship. You get up there, you explore around, and then about 22 minutes in, the sun explodes. And while you were going through the museum to get set up for the spaceship, this statue from an ancient race that had lived there before activates, and it somehow catches you into a time loop. So every time the sun explodes, you go back in time 22 minutes, and the goal is to find out what do you have to do? Why is this happening? So you were just left to go anywhere in your rocket ship and explore this entire solar system. And all of the planets are so unique. The physics system that they created for this, it looked like, man, just the effort that they put into that. They did not skimp on the effort to make those planets work the way that they do. And you can be anywhere in that solar system and everything is working. Like if you're on one planet, you can look up and see several other planets just moving in concert with each other. It's just
That's
wild
awesome.
to me.
That was one game that I bought, and I never put. It was like on sale, and I'm like, I keep on hearing good things about this game, and
It's a good game.
it just sits there in my backlog.
If you read my notes that I stole from the
Well, no spoilers.
No.
I don't want any spoilers. We might even have to mark this podcast as spoilers.
Yeah.
But no, so that sounds like a great game. Maybe I'll have to actually check it out. But I hate to go on the negative, but are there anything that you don't like about indie games or indie games that you particularly don't care for at all?
Hmm.
It's just like free to play indie games. Like I feel like most of those are bad.
Yeah.
I mean, just because they're trying to, I don't know, they're asking, but yet what they're putting out there, I'm like, I'm not super interested in what you got going on
Right.
here. Yet you haven't really convinced me, and then you're trying to ask me for more money. And
Yeah, that's shifty.
yeah. So that would be it. I don't think I have like one in particular.
Ethan,
though.
did you have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have like one in particular. I think my whole thing with indie games is just like I don't care if it's an indie game or not. I just want it to be a fun game. If it's not going to be a fun game, I'm not going to play it because it's an indie game.
Right.
Like I don't care.
No, that's a good idea to approach it with.
I think that's what makes it so confusing for all of us to define like what was an indie game. It's like, well, sometimes an indie game might just be a feel, right? And it's like so that's the way that game feels. It felt playing, Dead Cells like it's by an indie game. Or how many games did we mention? And somebody else is like, nah, actually that's owned by
Mm-hmm.
this studio, and it's like, oh, felt like an indie game, so that's kind of it's fine to me.
Mhm.
I think about them as being like more bite-sized games. And so that's kind of what I love, but sometimes I also don't like it because when something like Oxenfree comes out
Right.
and then you have to wait 5 years for Oxenfree 2 to get developed, that's frustrating because I want them to be able to tell a story and maybe be able to expand on that down the road. And so it annoys me that they have to take that leap and then maybe it pans out and maybe it doesn't, and maybe you see that game again and maybe you don't. And some of them are really, really good games like Oxenfree or Limbo. And it was like, are we gonna get a Limbo too? Are we gonna get, the like another version of this
Mhm.
when you create Horizon Zero Dawn?
Mhm.
they make that game, they play test it, and they're like, yeah, we've already got number 2. We've been working on number
Right,
2
yeah.
since we started number 1. We knew this game was going to be a banger.
Because they have the
you know?
resources.
Exactly.
One thing that was cool about Devolver Digital, they were a real small studio, and now they're a publisher
They did Death's
of.
Door.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
with,
yeah.
with them and Acid Nerve.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're publishing with indie games, and they're kind of still keeping it within that culture, which allows for freer creativity. I'm hoping,
Mhm.
So like having a publisher is not a bad thing, but knowing which partner is going to benefit you the most is
Right.
probably obviously each one their own decision. So
Yeah. So that's what I would like to see more, because it bothers me that there's not enough, because I think you said that if they have a publisher, then they're
Mhm.
technically not indie.
Right.
But I would think of it as like record labels and being like, I want like an indie publishers like Devolver, where it's like, no, they go out and they scout for small team talents, right? They scoop up the Super Meat Boy crew and like be like, hey
yeah,
man, we're gonna
that's
get
not
you in a
bad.
room with a bunch of other people. We're gonna let you, focus on the part of the game that you're really like stellar at, and give you a place to do that, or to collaborate with other people that are creating separate games.
Mm-hmm.
Having, what is it, Jonathan, the guy that created Braid,
Yeah.
Jonathan. I
I
don't know.
don't know
I'm
his name,
blacking
but
on his
We'll
I
just
last
say
know.
name.
Braid, Jonathan
Yeah,
Braid.
Jonathan
He made that and The
Braid.
Witness, which he's hella smart.
Yeah,
Man.
Mhm.
the dude's a great developer, or a great designer, and if you got him in the room with the Acid Nerve guys, and they're like not working on the same thing, but they're ping ponging ideas off of each other because they're at an indie development or a production studio, like
Mhm.
I think that would be rad.
Awesome. Luke, I don't know if you have any negatives on.
I do.
Okay.
I don't like indie games that do that demake with the graphics. Like if you've got like a 16-bit game, I don't know. Like I really enjoy like that more refined art style with like Hollow Knight, or pretty much any game. I feel like I could
Real
mention.
clean looking.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
anything that's not like brought back to the SNES or NES days. I guess just because that those games don't appeal to me anymore, so kind of moving back that way just doesn't do it for me. Like your
Are,
character loses mobility, it just seems too simplistic.
are you just mad that somebody did a demake of Bloodborne?
Actually, that looks cool, and
It
I
does
kind of
look
want to
sick.
play
It
it.
looks sweet.
All right, cool. Well, I think we should wrap it up now.
Yeah.
I think you could get a hold of us at Rad Gamer Dads on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel out there also, Rad Gamer Dads. Ethan, I hear you stream.
I stream nearly every day at twitch.tv/TheOnlyRyu, all lowercase, THE_ONI_RYU. Check me out. I will also be making a YouTube soon.
You guys want to plug anything? I mean, he's a doctor, so.
Come visit my doctor's store.
There are so many plug and then body part moments that you just made terribly go through my head. Interact with us. Drop something in the comments. I hope people are enjoying this, and we love hearing what you're digging about the podcast and love creating conversation. So if you're dropping some, or if you're playing something indie, or if we missed a title that you're like, look at these idiots, they don't know anything.
There's
Play
like a
Transistor.
1,000
You
of
know?
them.
I did.
Drop it down
Didn't do
in
it for me
the
either.
details. I also did.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. But yeah,
I
create that
understand.
conversation. We love hearing your comments,
liked
and
it.
we love chatting back and
I
forth with
liked it.
everybody.
For sure.
It wasn't that good.
See you.
Bye.